Surgery, Wokhard Hospitals, Mumbai. Dr. Goel is the former president of Indian Association of Gastrointestinal Endosurgeons, IAGES. Dr. Goel is the associate editor of Journal of Minimal Access Surgery. Dr. Goel is a renowned bariatric surgeon based at Mumbai. He has published many research articles and book chapters. Welcome, Dr. Ramin Goel, on our show. Dr. Goel, you have heard what Dr. Dilip Singhvi and Dr. Suleiman Ladhani has mentioned, and they have given where we went wrong. Now, same question to you. COVID returns, where we went wrong. Before that, I will just mention, and our viewers might be remembering that Dr. Goel, in the month of May 2020, when he came for the first time on our show, he mentioned at that time, the virologist was there, one senior bureaucrat from the government of India was there, one vice chancellor was there, and at that time he mentioned that this virus, if we have to contain, we have to see to it the proper isolation, contact, tracing, and to be done. Now we would like to know, Dr. Goel, the same thing is happening, and you came to our show several times, and you always insist that if we will not control, this become uncontrollable. I still remember you mentioned one time that the day will come that there will be no beds available. Although other panelists were not of your view, they were not accepting your views because they says, no, we have so many beds available in India and there are very few cases. But at that time you say the day will come when there will be no beds. Now things are the same. Now we would like to know, Dr. Goel, COVID returns, where we went wrong. Your views, Dr. Ramin Goel, please. Please unmute.
Okay, good morning, everybody. So glad that you remembered our last conversation or the first conversation in this program. In May 2020, I mentioned that if we don't control it, there'll be a tsunami of cases. And I also remember the senior bureaucrat who said, this is a very pessimistic view. I didn't know that the tsunami will take 1 year to come. And it's unfortunate that it has struck India. But the main thing is, this was expected. We were fortunate that this did not happen last time. And this has come to haunt us now. And it's not that just non-availability of bed is an issue. This is going to haunt us for decades. People who are losing their children who are 28, 35-year-old are going to suffer this loss for their entire life. And I think this is what each one of us who are in leadership position will feel haunted, that we did not act in time or we did not act responsibly. So I think this is an important issue that should have been taken head on right last year and should not have been managed so superficially. The second thing that also happened in your program, I remember, was that we discussed about herd immunity. And I mentioned that the only way herd immunity should be thought of is by vaccination. While a senior panelist who is an expert in public health on your show mentioned that herd immunity will come through disease in India, and those who are savable should be saved, and those who are senior citizen need not be saved because the younger generation will take India forward. Now, this concept of this country will belong to some people, will not belong to other people, is the root cause of the entire problem. You cannot say now the young generation is affected. And when the young generation is affected by the virus, who is to be saved? Who is to be sacrificed? So I think we can always enter into an argument on this. But scientifically speaking, worldwide, everybody knew that running a disease through a country to achieve herd immunity is the worst strategy. This will lead to mass deaths, mass grief, and the nation will suffer for generations because of this strategy. And we are also now facing the same situation where the whole world has practically segregated, practically stopped entry of Indians. Even Bangladesh, even Middle East Eastern countries have stopped their communication. And I'm, at the moment, they have only stopped entry of people. But what if the exports from our country get stopped by these countries? Because this was seen in early part of the COVID, that the exports which are coming from UK to USA, or they were coming from Italy to UK, were found, the food items were found to have virus in this. And they said, we don't want these imports to come from Italy. Now, what happens if the food products from India which go to Middle East get stopped? And the country will bear a huge economic cost. So ultimately, the health is the basis of economy. You cannot run the say that we are taking care of economy by compromising on the health of the citizen. And this is what I come to when I say there's been a misreading of situation. Misreading of situation is clearly visible that when we had a cricket match, I think the early indicators were the cricket match when there were more than 50,000 people allowed in a stadium to observe a match together. Now, where is the priority in the sense that we are running through a pandemic worldwide and we allow people to come together? Then opening of malls, theaters, spas, gyms, saying that we have instructed them to follow protocol is not enough. How many gyms, how many malls were booked, owners were booked, that they were not enforcing the social distancing? Now that never happened. Then comes election. Now all this has been discussed repeatedly, the public knows it, but the question is accountability. Now, those who are responsible to conduct these elections, whether it's election commissioners, what were they doing? And then religious festivals like Holi, Kumbh Melas, and many others, Diwali and others, where people were allowed to gather together in lakhs. We remember distinctly that when in this mosque in Delhi, there were 2,500 people. The media went against that. It's a bomb that has been exploded. Now, what about every religious festival, even at homes? I'm not talking of Kumbh alone. I'm talking of even at homes in Holi, that we were 50 people playing Holi, and we are like super spreader events. So I think this attitude to achieve life as usual early on in the country was the reason of major surge that we are seeing now. Now, this is not because of failure of one person or one party or one government. This is across the board. And vaccination, slow vaccination. We had vaccines ready somewhere in about October or November. The first time the applications were made for approval. The approvals came late. Then the whole country knew that vaccination is the way. Why we were not ready for, as Dr. Ladhani was saying, that even now we are not ready. These vaccination centers have themselves become spreading places. Why we were not ready in October with a plan that whenever vaccine will be approved, this is the way we are going to implement it. And the moment application came, within 24 hours or within 48 hours, approval could have been given. What was given after 2 months or after 15 days, whatever time it took. Then delaying international vaccine approval. They were I don't want to use the name, but there was a company which applied for vaccine approval in India, which was already approved by FDA. Now various ways, various media was used to defame the company's application, to delay its approval, or to refuse it, because we wanted our indigenous production to be supported, so that we are a self-sufficient nation. But that led to a delay. Each delay of 1 day of vaccination has probably led to death of a few thousand people, if you look prospectively from that day. And who is responsible for all this? So I think then it was known that the second or third or fourth wave will come. did we build up our health infrastructure in the time when we were gloating about achieving control to prepare for a second wave? There was none. And this is not something that falls only at the political leadership. It is basically the professional leadership who advise the governments or advise the political leaders. They were the ones who should have insisted that we need to be prepared because the second wave is coming. And if they were not being heard, they should have moved on and let more effective people take the responsibility of advising the political leadership. But they stuck to their posts, and they are the ones who failed the nation. Then there is another thing that I mentioned in one of your programs, were that the entire strategy is being decided by 2 or 3 or 4 persons centrally. The centralization is the problem. Now, lessons have been learned in patient management in Maharashtra, lessons have been learned in patient management in Uttarakhand and in different parts of the country. Now, typically the healthcare improves by, by exchange of ideas, by thought process being discussed. So let's say in Maharashtra, in very early, it was known that remdesivir shortens hospital stay. But in other parts of the country, this was not even used, not even discussed with the patients, or this option was not given when remdesivir was available in adequate quantity. In Maharashtra, 6-minute walk test and saturation levels were a way to determine who should get the steroids and who should not get the steroids. But the 6-minute walk test, because I talked to doctors from different parts, was not even known in places in Uttar Pradesh and in Uttarakhand and many other parts of the country. Why this lack of communication? Because the centralization was encouraged, and the exchange of ideas was discouraged. Saying that only 3 people in the country know everything about COVID care, and whatever they come and tell us on the TV is the right way of managing the patient, is not the right way of scientific development. Probably if this exchange of ideas was given, many more lives would have been saved in hospitals in Delhi, in various states which are run by different political parties. So I think similarly, like blood thinners, what tests are required and who should be given blood thinners during hospital stay and after discharge. I tell you, I know of people who are senior anesthetists who lost their lives in West Bengal uh, because they had COVID, they were discharged, but they were never put on blood thinners. Now they had a heart attack, and all that is shown that they had a heart attack or they had a brain stroke, and very easily said that this is a known complication of COVID. But if it is a known complication, it's also a preventable complication. So I think there had been failure at or a misreading of situation at various levels. Then allowing export sale of vaccines. I completely agree that our country is a big country. We should have humanitarian approach. So we distributed about 1 million or whatever number of dosage to the neighboring countries who could not.
More than 4 crores. So rather 6
No,
crores.
what
Sorry,
I'm saying
6
is,
crores.
so free distribution is one part, but the company was allowed to sell about 4 to 5 crore of dosage to various countries. So the doses that were given to Brazil was not free, they were paid. So the major share of the vaccines that was, so being humanitarian, being large-hearted is absolutely required. But that was only about a crore. Other 4 to 5 crores were paid, were sold, and similarly, oxygen was sold, remdesivir was sold. These were like precious national resource. No country, as we are facing it now, the USA says that we will have it for ourselves first, our citizen first. No country allows a precious national resource to be sold outside. So I think having a balance of humanitarian approach and avoiding commercial gains at this time is so important. Then another factor which is hardly discussed is and delay in genome sequence reporting. So there have been reports, and again this was all coming through media, that in February from Vidarbha, Maharashtra, where the double mutant was earlier noticed, the genome sequencing reports were sent to And these labs are in Maharashtra only, but the reports were never handed back over for next 1.5 to 2 months. A crucial delay, a report which should have been available on same day or within 2 or 3 days, was held back for almost 2 months. And by the time the virus was rampantly, if it was available very early, serious lockdown in those areas, serious distancing could have avoided spread of virus. So I think there are multiple issues. You cannot pinpoint one thing. As you mentioned, Mr. Goyal, about payment to poor people. Now, people have memories. Nobody can say that people will forget. So when poor people were not supported in last lockdown, they remember it this time when even Janta curfew or whatever you call it, ultimately it's lockdown. When these are being implemented in different parts by different states, the poorer people realize that they will not have the social security that is required to survive in big cities. And they've already started migrating. If we had supported them last time financially, they would not have migrated this time. So I think there are multiple issues, and each one of us, I have also been in leadership position of my association. All of us who are in leadership position are living in denial, and that is what, and blaming people. And what I see is everybody starts saying, if people start behaving following appropriate behavior, I am ready to follow. Everybody followed what happened during lockdown. But those who are role models like us or the leaders or professionals, if they are not displaying it themselves, how do you expect a lay person to do it? So if you say, when I was listening to this discussion on marriages, if in a rally held by anybody, whether people in power or in opposition or chief minister, if in a rally 2 lakh people can come together or 5 lakh can come together, why I am not allowed to have 500 people in the marriage of my child? No, this is the way people think. If they say that I'm not going to hold any rally, let the election be there, it will be only virtual rally, people will also go for virtual marriages. So I think there are their role model concept, and somewhere that role model concept was diluted because of various personal reasons. So I think, if you want me to ask, I think the institutions and experts have failed the public. The institutions and experts who advise political leadership have failed the political leadership, because they did not warn them enough or seriously enough that you should not be doing this, and this is the way things should be taken. And then we knew that, this data came very, so transparency is so much required. Transparency is not there. Now, this was realized very recently, that India is only producing about 22 lakh vaccines a day, while we were vaccinating at the pace of 33 to 40 lakh a day. So vaccine shortage is bound to happen. Now, India applied to you mentioned about today's IPR day and the patents. India went into the IPR, whatever the organization, saying that during the time of pandemic, this IPR quota should be abolished, and India should be allowed, and poorer countries should be allowed to produce mass. What about mass vaccination production by Serum Institute? They were looking for financial support early on. I remember seeing his interviews. Why we are not supported, that 20 lakh production a day is not enough. Why we should be producing 100 lakh vaccines a day, and whatever money is required should have been invested and recovered later. That's an investment in the future of our country, in the economy of our country. So I think, when you say what went wrong, we can go on the whole day discussing this, but there is always, we should be looking forward and saying what is the situation now and what can be done further. So thanks for organizing this, but I believe we are too far off now, in a situation where we find it very difficult to even think of how it can be controlled now. Even the experts worldwide are saying that the ship has sailed too far, and it's almost impossible to turn it around.
Thank you very much, Dr. Goel, for giving your views. And yes, I still remember you have mentioned all these things in your earlier media participation in our media conference. But at that time, people were not taking it seriously because we have a tendency of sab chalta hai thing, which we thought that even in the health sector also, it is going to happen in the COVID time, sab chalta hai. Now the things have passed. We will see when the next mutant will come. We have we conquered the first pandemic, we will conquer the another one. We have such type of thing. But one point which one or two points which I would like to clarify from you. You have mentioned about the food items. You said that the food items from Italy to UK and other places were banned at one time because they found that some infection were there. Is there any scientific proof of that, or is type of things that the food items can also carry the infection?
So, this is a very dynamic situation. This is what was reported somewhere in May or June of 2020. We remember now we see that CDC has come with this, that surface transmission is no more valid. But this is not something in absolute term that I say that the food transmission related infection carriage will not happen, and vice versa. So I think we need to accept this, but at that moment or now, the focus in our country is so much on economy that unless government realizes that it is going to hurt them economically, they don't give enough serious, they don't attach enough seriousness to the health of the people. So I think this is what is very important to realize, that health is the most important thing. Wealth can come later. You remember those our childhood days. If you lose your character, if you lose your health, and if you lose your wealth, what is most important? Somehow in this discussion on COVID, we have missed out on that wealth is the last thing that should be considered. Character, health, and then last should be wealth.
Okay. Now, one more point which we have mentioned about the remdesivir. Now, so much controversy is going on. Even the other day, our Honorable Prime Minister had a talk with one of the senior doctor, Dr. Shashank Joshi of Mumbai, in his Man Ki Baat. And there also it was mentioned. Now, what is the clear position? Some doctor says it's not required. Some says, no, it will shorten the 3 to 4 days stay in the hospital. I don't know. What is the clarity? Can you just give something? Because you have mentioned this particular thing.
So, I also had COVID, as many as I believe other panelists here. So, remdesivir, the study says, does not reduce the number of deaths. Okay, it does not improve the survival. But there are personal experiences of hospitals and doctors, as Dr. Ladhani is managing COVID patients in Mumbai, where they say if remdesivir is given in first 3 to 5 days, and I don't want to create this mass hysteria to acquire remdesivir across the country. So it reduces the hospital stay, it shortens the hospital stay. So I think there are reasons for saying that remdesivir panic should not happen, because it's a shortage and people who really need it should be prioritized. But at the end, the transparency and scientific norm should override this thing of hiding things and to remain positive all the time. If we were talking openly about, as you mentioned, openly, UK mentioned openly that we have a double mutant. UK was isolated. Many countries, most of the countries stopped their flights to UK. Almost 40 countries stopped their flights to UK. But still, they did not hide the data, and they openly talked about it, and they aggressively controlled the disease by saying something that this drug or this problem doesn't exist, or this drug is not useful for this medicine. We are doing probably more disservice than really giving a benefit to people.
Okay, thank you. One last before you will go. Today, the condition in India is that the district collector or the police commissioner or the administrations, they are controlling the hospitals. They are controlling the number of beds, to whom the bed should be given, whom to the oxygen to be given. Don't you think this is the work of the doctors, medical fraternity? You know better. The doctors knows this patient requires bed, this require oxygen, this require this medicine, or the administration require all these things.
So, this happened very early on. The people in the executive power took the responsibility to manage this disease themselves. No, this is probably a wrong approach, because the government should be the facilitator. You mentioned something about army managing the vaccination. The entire supply line in UK is managed by army. So whether the medicine availability, the drug availability is, because they have the best infrastructure. Actually, I mentioned it in one of your programs last year. Where is our army for last 1 year? Why they were kept in reserve when the whole nation was in trouble? No, they have the best networking, best communication systems. They are the most disciplined of the lot in the country, and they are available across the country. If they had been handed over the distribution of vaccine or distribution of drugs to regulate it, they should remain behind the scene. Let the doctors and hospital manage the situation on ground, as you are rightly mentioning. The doctor should be deciding who should get a priority. I agree, there'll be some misuse, but there is misuse even when the administration is managing the situation. So if I'm managing, I'm in a hospital, or Dr. Ladhani is in a hospital triaging patients, he might get 1 or 2 patients known to him in the hospital who probably did not deserve it. But the same thing also applies when administration runs it. So maybe the district magistrate, as you mentioned, or a police inspector can get his relative inside who did not deserve it. So that kind of 5 or 10% of misuse, or 1% of misuse, cannot be the reason to take away the professional power of a doctor in deciding who deserves the treatment.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ramin Goel, for giving your views. I'm sure today's program is quite enlightening for all our viewers. Right now, what is the condition of the surgery? Because you being the former president of Indian Association of Gastroenterologists Endosurgeons across the India, you have more than 8,000 surgeons there. So what is the condition of the surgeries? Are they taking place or not in this COVID time?
So what has happened is that very early on, because Maharashtra got affected early, there has been sort of a rationing of surgeries, that people started saying that let's not do the planned surgeries. And then about 2 weeks back, because the Maharashtra started realizing the shortage of oxygen, the task force, and Maharashtra is blessed because their leadership is supported by very good experts who are part of the task force. They recommended that routine surgery should be stopped. So about 2 weeks back, surgeries stopped in Maharashtra, and they have now stopped in practically most of the states: Gujarat, Delhi, West Bengal, I'm aware. And this is primarily for 2 reasons. One is that oxygen should be saved for COVID patients. And another problem that we faced before the rule came of stopping it, that patients who are coming for routine surgery in Mumbai, 50% of them were turning out positive, even though they had no symptoms. So they were coming for a surgery, we are getting a routine RT-PCR done, and they were turning out to be asymptomatic positive. So I think surgeries are a low priority at the moment. Only cancer surgeries and emergency surgeries are allowed. The rest of the surgeries have been stopped.
Okay. Now, Dr. Ramin Goel, 1 minute to you. What can be done now?
So I think the government should take the role of a facilitator rather than a manager. They should make the oxygen and drugs, regulate them more carefully, make sure they are freely available. I'm told that there are ambulances where they cannot get even an oxygen cylinder without signatures of the district magistrates or that has to be stopped. You have to trust your people. Let them. So facilitators' role should be there. Make everything available and prepare for third wave. I agree with what Dr. Singhvi says, that we should go for lockdown. But what after lockdown? The moment you will open up, you will have a third wave. Now is the time to start preparing infrastructure for third wave. Managing second wave is obviously a priority that should be separately done, but we should look forward.
Okay, thank you very much. So today you have heard and viewed what the medical experts has said about where we have gone wrong. And this is the position of the true India today, that we are facing so much problem because of many reasons which are already been discussed today. I will not be able to repeat it again because it's a vast topic. As our panelist says that it will take full day. Yes, it can take full day. And there are so many questions, unanswered questions. And many of our viewers have asked me to ask many questions, but I cannot ask all the questions because the time. But one thing is very clear. Please be ready for the third wave. Don't be panicky. Control yourself. Okay, if you feel that our role models are not showing what they were supposed to do, it you do yourself, become your own self a role model, so that at least you can save yourself, save your own near and dears. So thank you very much. And today's program, which has been live telecasted by V4 News Global TV, V4 Stream, Malnadu TV, Newsgaon se Samvad Sarokar News, as well as it was shown live on Facebook and YouTube.